This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. On this episode, we have an awesome guest. She's had a massive impact on the fantasy football community ever since her arrival from In Between Media and the Unwind Fantasy Football community. It's Tootsie Pop herself. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Happy to be here, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on here. For listeners and viewers that may not be familiar with what you're doing in the fantasy community, can you share what you're doing with IBT and In Between Media, as well as what you're doing with Unwind?
Yeah, I joined IBT Media after last year's Fantasy Football Expo. So I do some writing for them, entertainment and football writing, as well as some sports betting writing. And then I launched the Unwind community in October of last year. Started with a series of Zoom events, just bringing women in the fantasy space together on these Zoom calls. And we've expanded to a Twitter group chat. We have a Discord server, and a lot of collaborations have sprung out of it, and we have just a lot of friendships have come out of it, and we just keep continuing to grow.
Yeah, it's really neat to witness. Obviously, the women of fantasy football movement has been big over the last few years in the community, and something like Unwind is so cool to see. Doing these big Zoom meetings and just I love to see connections in fantasy in the fantasy community, and this is certainly something that has connected a lot of people together. So it's awesome to see. Now, in regards to your experience with football, it's unique, right? When it comes to sports fandom, you've kind of found a passion for sports not too long ago. Talk to me about that. How you discovered sports. How did it all come about?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much a late bloomer to the fantasy sports, to football in general. Maybe about the 2017 season, I started watching the Minnesota Vikings. I kept hearing across the community and at work that the Vikings were doing good that season. So I was like, well, I should start paying attention and start watching these games and see what it's all about. And I got hooked. I mean, obviously, when your team is winning, it's very exciting. It's hard not to be hooked. So I got hooked on the Minnesota Vikings in 2017. And yeah, that's where my love of football started, and started with the love of Minnesota Vikings.
I love it. Yeah, I think that sports in general can definitely capture a community when there's when there's success happening. It can be pretty infectious. So I'm glad that you discovered that passion for your Vikings. It's awesome to see. Did was there anything that held you back, like maybe growing up or earlier on, that like you just kind of prevented you from caring about sports?
Yeah, I think my family's not that big into sports. My dad and my brother would watch the occasional sports more as casual watchers. They weren't really hardcore either. So it just wasn't part of my upbringing, and my friends weren't into it. So it just was something that I thought that I hated. I actually thought I hated sports. I thought I hated football, and then until 2017, I'm like, wait a second, this is pretty cool. It's really exciting. I started learning about it, and yeah, so just very much a late bloomer, but I'm gonna continue to learn and continue to watch, and it's very exciting.
It is for sure. I think that there's a lot of people out there that just reject sports for some reason or another. And a lot, families, they didn't grow up with it, so it's awesome to see your experience. Like I said, it's unique. It's really cool. I think it's a really special part of your story and your presence in the community, because it does give a fresh lens to sports fandom and obviously the fantasy football, everything that we all love. It's really cool to see how you discovered that. So obviously you are, diehard Vikings fan, skull all the way, right?
Yeah.
Did that interest in sports, did that go into other sports like basketball? Are you supporting the Timberwolves and the Twins and other sports at this time, or is it just football?
It's basically just football. I do dabble in like prize picks for basketball as well, so I get to know some of the players through that. But it's mostly the football that I watch the actual games for.
So since you decided to become a sports fan, what's the worst moment you've experienced as a sports fan? What's the most heart-wrenching loss or experience you've had?
Well, the Vikings have had some losses in the last season or last couple of seasons. The biggest loss was the one to the Cowboys, where they just obliterated the Vikings. And I love the Cowboys. They're maybe my second favorite team, but that one game, that maybe 2022 season, they totally obliterated the Vikings. It's like, where is my team? What happened? Oh my gosh, this is not right. This is not right with the world. So that one was hard, because that shouldn't have happened like that.
What's your favorite moment thus far when it comes to just an experience in sports?
The Minneapolis Miracle. So I was hooked as a fan when that moment came in January of 2018, and so I got to watch that and experience that, and it was fun to watch the replay over and over. It's a beautiful, magical moment, and it's incredible.
Yeah, that's obviously something that brings again communities together. I love memories like that in sports. I think that's the reason why a lot of people love sports. They can tie it back to to memories they had as a kid or memories they had with family watching the game or something unique like that. So gotta love sports for that. Again, I'm thrilled that you found it. So when it comes to fantasy sports, how did you discover that?
So it's that started in 2019. I was overhearing some coworkers talk about their fantasy league, and I got curious, and I was asking, "What are you talking about? What is this fantasy football?" And then I asked, "Can I join, please?" And so I joined that league that season, and I just dove right in and got to learn all about it. I found fantasy Twitter at that point. And primarily Kate and Michelle Majuk were very significant in my learning fantasy football that first season, and I've been hooked ever since.
Awesome. A product of Ball Blast. I love that. Any
Yeah.
other analysts and resources that you discovered earlier on?
Well, Joey Wright is huge in my getting to learn the game. I like Marcus Grant. I like Lauren Carpenter. There's so many favorites. I don't want to leave anyone out, but this just like fantasy Twitter is like unmatched. There's just so much content there, even just on the Twitter feed itself. Just like the quick little snapshot of takes and like, oh, this is interesting take, or the different engagement that people do there, and then being able to ask my questions to people like Commissioner Breeze. He was another early person, or Mike Reedy was another early person that welcomed me in and let me ask my maybe dumb questions or whatnot, and they're like, hey, this is what you should do or whatnot.
I love that. No, it's true. I think a lot of people that, casual people that play the game, they might not realize like how accessible Twitter or X is, when it comes to getting the content and the information that you want, to win your league. So lots of great people out there. I love how you discovered that. What was it about the game though that hooked you initially?
Just trying to learn all the ins and outs of it and trying to figure out your lineup, or figure out the draft to begin with and then figure out your lineup. It's just there's a challenge to it, and I like
Yeah.
a challenge, and it's very stimulating to try to, and there's so many variables. It's like keeps you on the edge of your seat. I mean, I think we all like curse the fantasy gods on Sunday, but then come Monday or Tuesday, let's start again. Let's do it all
Yeah.
again. It's just a fun roller coaster of emotions, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it does. It makes every game, important to some degree. It definitely enhances the football experience or your love for football or appreciation for watching the game. I agree with that for sure. Now, do you have like one league that you consider your main league?
Well, that first league, that first work league, I was in it for 4 years. So unfortunately, last year I was not part of it because I'm no longer in that work unit, and they moved on to other people that work in that work unit. So that had been my work home league. So I don't really have an official home league, but I started my own league after the 2022 Expo. I call it Crushing It, and I invited a bunch of people that are my heroes and sheroes in the industry, including Kate and Michelle. And so I dubbed that my home league from now on.
Now, is that the league that is Hoove in that league?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, just recently mentioned to me. I think this podcast comes out shortly. That Steffi Smalls, is she in
Yes.
that league too?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that
Yep.
his biggest rivalry
Yes,
is
they're always
Steffi Smalls
yeah, they're always
in your
sniping each
league.
other. Yes,
I love it.
definitely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and, last year was the 2nd year, and they all agreed to do it again. I'm like, "Really? That's so amazing. It was so
Uh,
cool." And, yeah, so it's amazing. It's a great group of people, and we just have
yep.
a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that league is getting shout outs on this podcast. I love
Yes.
that. Any fun traditions that you've had like in your obviously it's not an extensive history of playing the game, but you have to have had, reasons why you like leagues for some reason or not. Any specific traditions or experiences that have enhanced your enjoyment of the game?
I mean, just in general, the people. You have a different group of people in every league, and it's just amazing. The camaraderie, the community that you can foster with that, and the competitive spirit, and like the rivalries, and it's all like all in positive spirits. It's really fun.
It's true. Yeah, the people definitely make the league. It doesn't have to be the settings or some special bell and whistle, right? I think that it's true. You're right. The people definitely can make a league special. And it sounds like you've created some fun leagues. You've had some success, right? You've won some fantasy leagues.
I have.
I've seen this stuff promoted on online. Talk to me about the triumph in winning championships.
Oh my gosh. Last year I tried Dynasty for the first time. I had two Dynasty leagues and I won the championship in both of them. And at the Scottish Bowl Live this past Sunday, one of my league mates gave me a trophy he made for me for that league. And that was, oh my gosh, so touching. And, to have an actual trophy of a championship, like I finally did it. And for my first year of Dynasty, that's hard. Dynasty is hard. And that was incredible. And yeah, I just can't get over
I love it.
being a
It's a
winner.
yeah, very, very addicting to win those championships. You don't know when the next one's coming, so you got to really enjoy the one that you just won. And then, yeah, right. To have a custom little trophy made, like that's what it's all about. I love that kind of stuff more than anything in the fantasy experience. Is
Right,
to
right.
have a fun league experience and have some hardware like that. That's really cool. So since you've been playing the game and obviously more industry leagues these days, um, who would you say is your biggest rival? Like, who's the one person it's most meaningful to beat?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have a rival right now. It's just so thrilling. Like I love when they beat me. Like if with Kate and
Oh,
Michelle, and it's like, okay, that's okay because I look up to you. But like, I don't know. But in that first work league, there was a guy that was my rival to begin with because he was very competitive and he kept throwing some bad trades towards me, trying to trick me because he knew I was new. So I had a chip on my shoulder, wanting to prove him wrong and wanting to show him that I can do this. And one year I did get third place, so that was really triumphant when I was still pretty
I
new. So, yeah.
love that. It's always fun to have some nemesis or something like that. I think that's really cool. When it comes to settings, though, I know that you dabble, right?
I
We've
do
spoken
dabble.
about some different ways to make leagues fun. What settings and formats do you like most at this time?
I mean, I lean towards the redraft, of course, because that's what I'm most comfortable with, and it's just, it's what everybody knows. You got a larger pool of people that play redraft and know what that is. I tried guillotine for the first time last year. That was a lot of fun. It's a different kind of adrenaline. It's like each week is like, oh my gosh, am I gonna get beheaded? What is happening? So yeah, even that kind of ups the ante even more. So that was kind of thrilling last year, and I went pretty far in one of them, but then I got cut.
Yeah, guillotine can be pretty intense. My first time was last year as well, and wow, it's so much fun. It is so intense each week, and then all of a sudden, it's over. I think I made it to maybe the top four or so, and it was weird all of a sudden. And then it also gets quieter because there's less people around that even care about the experience, but you're
Right.
still just all in. I love it. I love mixing it up. It's always fun to have different unique leagues, but that home league or that main league or the league that you focus on the most, again, it comes down to the people in it, and they can definitely make the experience special. And obviously, you have dabbled in this commissioner world, and what is it about commissioning that you enjoy the most at this time?
My favorite part is bringing the group of people together. I feel like just, picking the people and bringing them in, and just it's a good mix of people and they bring positive and good vibes. It's just thrilling to see how, the banter goes back and forth and everyone has a healthy competitive spirit. It's really thrilling. Like I haven't had to deal with any drama because I've curated the people that I've included. Um yeah, so it's a really positive experience.
Well, you do. You naturally just obviously bring so much positivity to anywhere you're at. It's very clear to see, and I can understand why you wouldn't get much negativity back because it's true that the more positive you lead and the more positivity you bring, it's amazing how it works, right? You
Yeah.
get less and less negativity. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you get what
Uh,
you give out. Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure, for sure. And you said you found fantasy in 2019. What was it that and obviously from like a consumer perspective, what made you kind of dive into the community on the other side of it and kind of think, well, this is something I want to get more involved, or was it just kind of a natural evolution of interacting with people?
You mean for creation itself?
Yeah, yeah. Like, what
Okay.
made you, go from consumer to, well, maybe not just creation, but going from consumer and interacting to then all of a sudden kind of just being a part of the community.
Well, the Twitter community is number one, was a huge part of that. And listening to the Ball Blast podcast with Kate and Michelle, and the year they had Jake Trowbridge on it too, um, it helped me learn about the game. And then I just got really involved with the community on Twitter and meeting all the different people. And it's like, okay, so I'm not so weird for liking this. There's a lot of other weirdos out there, and it's just a lot of fun. Um, yeah, and so I had been asked for a long time about, like, have you ever thought about creating content? And I kind of pushed it off for as long as I could. I'm like, no, that's not me. Because what I thought in my head of what creation should be, or like all just like stats or whatnot, and I'm not a big math nerd to begin with. But then I started thinking, like, what if I try to figure out how to do it my way? What is Rachel or Tootsie Pop's way of doing it, and kind of bringing in my personal style and the personal experience and the fun of fantasy football? And I kind of took that perspective and started exploring different ways I could create content that way.
That's awesome. And when it comes to this unwind, experience, how much fun has this been for you?
Oh my gosh, it has been so much fun. I had no idea when I started it that it's gonna be as big as it is right now and be as meaningful as it is. I just thought, okay, these are some Zoom calls. We'll just give it a try, do this first one. And then we did another one. And then the community kept growing. And then the Twitter chat just is nonstop active and engagement. We're asking trade questions, we're asking life questions, we're asking, anything under the moon. And I always say what happens at the Zoom calls or in the chat at Unwind stays there. And so everyone knows it's a safe place. You can be yourself. You can ask whatever, and everything off the cuff. We have a lot of laughs and we have serious talk. It's just been amazing. It's just been an incredible ride to see what Unwind is doing.
That's so cool. Now, what have you enjoyed most about working with IBT?
I enjoy the team there and working under Seth. He's an incredible leader. I enjoy having the creative freedom there. He lets me bring in my personal style, and I'm able to explore both entertainment content, football content, and the sports betting that I like. I'm able to dabble in different areas that I enjoy. And so I'm just having an absolute blast.
So, since you've been getting involved and more involved in the fantasy space, what's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
Oh, so I'm probably like a 1 full year in, and I mean, to be honest, I don't know everybody's first year, but it's been, it hasn't been breezy. It's not breezy your first year trying to figure out what you wanna do, who you are when it comes to content creation, finding the right group to belong to. I feel so privileged to be with IBT Media. I know not everybody has that experience maybe in the beginning stages, where they feel as included or have the creative freedom. But so I encourage people, find your people that accept you and see you for what you're trying to create and put out there. Um, and just it's been very gratifying to just really find myself and find my own path and forge forward. And people are finding it relatable, and it's bringing people to understand fantasy football too. And it's just been amazing.
I love it. Yeah, what's been the most rewarding part of this experience for you?
Just the overall community, meeting so many people, just being able to connect with people across the world. We have some international people involved with Unwind, and then on Twitter community as well. People across the world that love fantasy football. It's just incredible. We all just love football. We love fantasy football, and we just have a blast talking about it.
It's so good. Where do you see Unwind going in the coming years?
I have no idea. I had no idea when I started it that it'd be where it is today. We have merch now. We have an official Twitter account. We are international. We have there's been at least 72 women that have been involved in it. Many more that haven't been able to because schedules are hard with everybody. Life is busy. So it's going to continue to grow. I don't have a plan in place. It didn't have a plan to begin with. I just wanted to connect with my girlfriends, and it's just flourished from there. And women are trying different leagues. They're joining different leagues. They're trying things that maybe they never would have, but they have the supportive group of Unwind that's saying, yeah, do it. Try this out. And we're here to support you. We'll answer your questions. So it's been very gratifying.
I love it. And then the rumor is there's going to be a massive Unwind community presence in Canton, Ohio at the expo.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of unwinders that are going to be there. A bunch of them for their first time to the expo. We're going to have an unwind dinner. So anybody involved with Unwind, reach out to me to find out about the dinner info. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
It's awesome. How many people do you think are going to go?
Well, we'll have maybe about 15 at the dinner, so maybe I don't know, 20, 25. Not everyone can make the dinner. But yeah, there'll be a good unwind presence at the expo, so look for us.
I love it. Now, obviously, the expo is just a huge part of this fantasy community. Amazing work from Bob Lung, just creating this. I can recall, once upon a time when no one knew anybody, had never met anybody in person, but the expo has really facilitated so many relationships, professional relationships, personal relationships. Such a special event. How much have these friendships you've made surprised you and meant to you over the last couple of years?
And they've been incredible. That first year, I was so nervous. Like, I was a consumer at the time, just a fan, just wanting to check it out because I was still new to fantasy football and, like, let me just dive into this community. And it was incredible that first year. And I like to always have to name drop JJ Wenner for making me feel welcome the very first night when he just said, "Hey, I'm JJ. What's your name?" And that was incredible. Um, and then I felt like I was welcome, that I belonged. It didn't matter how long I played fantasy. It didn't matter who I am, if I'm, male or female. I belonged. Anybody belongs at the expo, even if you don't play fantasy football. There's some spouses that go. It's just a fun time for anybody who just likes fun and positive vibes.
I imagine you obviously, first heard about it on Twitter, right? I
Yes.
would assume, right?
Yeah.
How close were you not to go that first year? I mean, because did you go solo?
I did go solo, and I mean, I went for it, but that very first night, before I met JJ, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't feel comfortable, and maybe I should figure out how to get back home. I shouldn't do this. And then I met JJ, and that was a game changer. And I was like, okay, I can do this. He made me feel safe. He made me feel welcomed, and yeah,
That's such a testament to your character, your courage. It's really neat because there's a lot of people that just don't go because they'd be nervous to go. They don't see themselves fitting in. So many people do come solo and have those feelings. But it's amazing how once you get there and get involved, you realize this is just one big happy family reunion, and everybody's in the same boat, and so you get comfortable real quick. But again, such a bold move to fly across the country, or not too
yeah,
far, I guess, from you, but to fly there and go solo. It's pretty neat that you did that. I'm glad you made that trip because obviously look where it's gone. What's uh
exactly.
what's your favorite event at the expo?
They are all fun, but I really like the panels. The first year I saw the Women of Fantasy Football panel, and that was significant to also reinforce to me, like, I do have a place in fantasy football as a woman, as someone that maybe didn't grow up with sports. Like, I can learn how to do this. I mean, and to see their example, how they're paving the way, the women that were on that panel, and seeing that they have careers in the industry, or and seeing how they're crushing their leagues, I was like, okay, I can do this too. It was
Well, you
very
certainly can
inspiring.
do it. Yeah, I was gonna say you certainly can do it. You're winning dynasty championships already. I love it. Talk about your experience with the live SFB.
Yeah, so this year is my second live SFB. I went to the first live last year in Minnesota, and then went to the second one this year, this past Sunday. And it's a lot of fun to do it live. Oh my gosh. It's a lot of adrenaline, and it's a lot of pressure, and the draft board doesn't always go your way when it's live and whatnot, but it's incredible. And at the Minnesota Live, there's Scott Fish's son Ian. He helps with the stickers, and there's another kid there, Calvin, that was helping with the stickers, and they were roasting people's picks. It just made so much fun there, and it's like, if you could get roasted by them, then you won.
For sure. Yeah, there's nothing more special than a live fantasy draft, and obviously, on a Scott Fishbowl level, the way they can create that live home league experience, but through a community event, a charitable event, like it's just amazing. Anybody has the opportunity to at least go, even if you're not drafting, it's just such a
Right.
great way to meet people that are in your area. I once upon a time, the first year of live drafts, hosted Seattle. It was amazing how many people were close by that I didn't realize, we're also, in the fantasy community. So highly recommend anytime you can go, especially if you get the opportunity to draft though. It's pretty awesome. And if Ian Fish is putting stickers on your draft board, you're right. You're winning.
Yes, exactly.
So you also, obviously when it comes to all of this, the expo special, Scott Fishbowl special, you get people from every, corner of the country, every walk of life, it seems. But football brings everybody together, and that love for fantasy brings people together. So obviously, we have an upcoming season coming up, 2024. What players are you really excited to jump ADP for that you really want on your roster so far?
The main one is Raheem Mostert this year. I will reach for him a little bit because I think he's going to have another touchdown vulture year, and he's just going to be incredible. Even with Achan there, I mean, Mostert is a must start, and I try to get him when I can, and I did get him in Scott Fishbowl, so that was exciting. I also like Jaden Reed from the Packers, which is hard to say from a Vikings fan to like any Packer fan, and I'm liking Aaron Jones, who used to be a Packer fan. That's another player I'm targeting, but I know the Vikings love their running backs and he has some good receiving action. So he's going to be another good asset this year. So those are my main ones that I try to get.
Yeah, that's a great list because those are all, players that you can acquire, later on in drafts that are being overlooked. Go snatch them up. Worst thing is they don't pan out, but you're not, it's not costing you everything to acquire them. So that's a great list of players. Let's dive into some rapid fire questions. I'll just throw out
Okay.
some questions. Let me know what first comes to mind. What do you enjoy most about what you're doing in the fantasy community at this time?
Bringing people together, getting people connected, and there's people that have had collaborations come out of their meeting. Two women on an Unwind Zoom call found out they were actual neighbors, so they got to meet in person. So that was incredible. It's just it's really thrilling to bring people together and connect them.
Yes, connecting people and bringing people together. That's it's one of my favorite things in this space. I see it all the time. It's so fun to witness. How about the origin of the Tootsie Pop name? Where does that come from?
In college, it was my sorority nickname, so I just brought it into my social media. It's just kind of a wholesome name and kind of fits me. And I mean, I'm not always wholesome, but it's a fun handle.
Sure. What's the six? Is that's just part of the
What
name as well?
like regular Tootsie Pop was taken, so in six is my birthday's in June, so
There
just
you
it's
go. I
six.
love it. I love it. Can you name a person that you'd love to watch a football game with just to get their perspective on it?
Um, that would be so incredible. How about Marcus Grant? I'll go with one of my favorite analysts in the community.
Yeah, such a great down to earth guy. I think that's an awesome answer. Can you name a couple people that you want to meet? Are you excited to meet at the expo that maybe you hadn't previously met?
I did not meet Andy Barron, so that is a goal of mine this year. I don't Adam Rank if he comes this year. I know he was thinking about it. And then a bunch of women from the Unwind group that are going to be there for the first time. I'm looking forward to meeting them.
I love it. It's a great list. And now, of all people, I would say at the expo, there's people that are kind of in the same class, but Andy is just about the nicest guy, the most welcoming person imaginable. So I look forward to you meeting Andy Behrens because he's a great one and he's just so kind. I love it.
Great.
What are your favorite hobbies outside of fantasy sports?
Oh, we're supposed to have hobbies outside? I like to
What's
go.
your
I
hobby?
mean, the summer in Minnesota is so limited, so I like to go to the swimming pool on the nice days. We like to go to the lake with as a family. Just hanging with family and friends. Going to live concerts is another enjoyment of mine.
There you go. What pets do you have? What are their names and what are their most distinct personality traits?
I have one cat named Grayson. He's fluffy gray with piercing green eyes. He's very lovable and very sassy and very smart, and he's just the best. And if
I,
my dream on earth is to be a stay-at-home cat mom, I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
hey, you gotta have goals. We have a cat, Nala. She's a Bengal. She's a Bengal
Oh,
cat, and
wow.
she's
Active.
she's incredible. Yeah, personality is just so unique. She's pretty awesome. She's very unique. Yeah, Bengals are very interesting animals, but
Wow.
she's been great. She's been great. How about an all time favorite TV show? What do you got?
Um, well, I liked Scandal back in the day with Kerry Washington when she's a fixer in Washington and had um, some darkness to it. It was kind of depraved. It's kind of fun to watch depraved shows just because it's like that's not right. That's not real.
An escape from reality.
Yes, exactly.
How about an all time favorite movie?
Serendipity is an old romantic comedy with John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. It's just a fun little sappy rom com.
It's a great movie. That is a great movie. How about an all-time favorite sports movie?
Oh, Invincible with Mark Wahlberg when he plays Vince Papali. I love
Okay.
that one for some reason. It's just really engaging and to see, someone who's nobody rise up to be
I love
somebody.
it.
Yeah.
That's a great story. How about your favorite musician or artist or band?
I like a lot of country music, so Miranda Lambert's a favorite, or Lainey Wilson, and there's a newer country artist, Haley Witters, that I like to see in concert.
Okay. How about your best vacation ever?
I went to Belize several years ago. That was my favorite. Last year, I went on a Southern Caribbean cruise out of Puerto Rico. That was another favorite. I think I like the warm climates because I don't get that a lot
Clearly.
in Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How about a bucket list vacation location?
Ireland is on my bucket list, as is African safari. I love rhinos. I would like to see them in their actual environment.
That's a good answer. I think rhinos are awesome.
Yes.
What are you most grateful for at this time?
Well, my cat Grayson, he's number one. He's just when I'm having a stressful day, I can just look at him, and all he cares about is snuggling or eating and whatnot. And just good family and friends, and it's a great fantasy community, and just having fun, and just and being able to create content with creativity, being able to be creative again. I don't feel like I've been creative in many years, so being able to find that a year ago has been really gratifying.
No, and I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing that you found the community. It's so cool how you've injected so much positivity into this space. You're much appreciated. I think it's just great that you're here because I think a lot of people are being positively impacted by your presence. Um, what are some of the other people that have had just a big impact on you along the way? Because obviously you've named several already, but anyone else that have just really had a positive impact on you during your journey?
Other than I've mentioned Kate and Michelle, Lauren Carpenter was also huge. Britt Flynn is huge. Kevin Tompkins, he's a great friend of mine. Marcus Grant, like I said, Pat Fitzmaurice. I know he always has my back if I have a question or I can reach out to him. Bob Harris is always there for me. I'm able to ask him questions and I don't feel dumb asking them. He's always able to answer the question and be there for me. It's just an incredible community. There's so many incredible people, and I'm just so thankful.
It's an amazing group of people for sure. What advice do you have for people that want to get more involved in the fantasy community and connect with others?
If you want to do it, I would say do it. I mean, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Number one, be yourself, be authentic, because people will like that and relate to that. And then you'll have more satisfaction. Don't try to be something that you're not, because you won't be happy and then it's going to come off as being inauthentic. Um, just yeah, and don't be afraid to learn. There's a lot to learn out there. There's so many resources. I know I've been learning a lot this past year, and I know I have a lot more to learn, and I'm willing to do it. um, just don't be afraid to put in the hard work. It's worth it, because what you create is can be incredible.
What would you like to say to those interested in getting more involved in Unwind?
Oh, reach out to me, Tootsie Pop 6, or at their official Twitter handle, Unwind FF. We have the next Zoom event is July 27th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Would love to have you a part of that if you haven't joined us yet. Um, yeah, just know that we are a fun group of women. We don't judge you. If you played fantasy football for 20 years or 5 years or 0 years, come on, you're one of us. You belong.
That's great, Rachel. Is there anything else that we haven't covered before we close things out on this episode?
I don't think so. I think, yeah, just like have fun. Just make sure you're having fun and be positive.
That's great. Where can listeners and viewers find you?
I'm at Tootsie Pop 6 on Twitter and also Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you can find, or Unwind FF is the official Unwind Twitter handle. Um, and that you can find my writing over at IBT Media. There'll be much more coming out with entertainment and football writing. And just as we're getting into draft season, you're bound to find me in a draft room because I love to draft.
So much excitement ahead. Thank you again for joining me on this episode, Rachel. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here. Looking forward to seeing you in Canton next month.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.